Hello, welcome to this second video on conditional statements. In this video, we're going to look at comparison operators, so less than, greater than, equality, and inequality. We're going to see nested if statements, and we're going to see the and operator, similar to or, but it's checking and instead. So let's jump into it. To start, let's identify the next feature we're going to add and how we're going to use conditional statements to do that. So I'm going to go back to the scene and just notice if I play the game, I can move my player as far to one side as I want. Now the path is pretty narrow right now, but I can go way off. And even if the path was wider, so let's take this floor and scale it out a little bit. Hold down Control to enable the snapping scale. So let's make it a little wider and quite a bit longer, like that. Even still, I can still run off the side if I want to. So what we're going to do is we're going to check if the player's position is less than a certain value, then allow the player to still move to the left and to the right. So that's what we're going to do. So first of all, let's figure out what the farthest left the player should go. And this is a good chance just to make sure your player is sitting at position 0 for the x. Right? If the player is over here at 3 or something, and the path is over here at 3, right, your player might look fairly centered. But actually, when the player moves to the left edge of the path, well, the player's x position is -3, and when they move to the right edge, the player's x position is +9. So that's fine. It's just nice to have some symmetry. So I'm going to put a 0 for x on the player and a 0 for x on the floor. And that way, when the player moves to this far left side, and this is the number I'm going to remember, I get -6 or so, maybe -6.5. And when the player moves to the far right, I get the same value but positive 6.5. And that's going to allow us to just have one value that we can check for negative and positive. So it's about 6.5. Let's go into the code. And I'm going to go to the very top here. And this time, instead of making a serialized field that I set in the inspector, I'm just going to make it private, float, and I'm going to say x limit, something like that. And instead of just leaving this blank, let's go into the start method. So the start method gets called right when the game starts, before update. I'm going to say x limit equals, and I think we said it was about 6.5. And you can change that value to match whatever your game needs. Now you could also say x limit on the left and x limit on the right if you needed to, if it wasn't symmetrical. But for me, I just have a symmetrical value, so I'll use this one, 6.5. So that's going to be 6.5 to limit the player. And now we need to put an if statement in update and say, if you are within the limit, then you can keep moving to the left or to the right. And so what that will be like is I'm going to say, well, what's your x position? Let's do it to the right. What's your x position? Well, my x position is 4. Okay, I'm pressing the right key. Okay, can you move right? Well, let's check. Is 4 less than 6.5? Yes, it is. Okay, I can move a bit further right. Okay, is 4.8 less than 6.5? Yes, I move further right. And as soon as I go make it 6.53, then can you move further right? No. So that's what we're going to be checking. So if you press, let's start with this moving to the right. If you press this right arrow, then before we go and translate to the right, let's check. If, and I'm just going to put the structure here. So here's the condition and here's the body. Now this transform.translate, I will Control X to cut and paste it in the body. So if within the right limit, then move right. That's what this if statement is saying. So this is called a nested if statement. It's an if inside of another if. And so what we're saying here is if our player's position is less than the limit, so I'm going to say to get the position, that's accessing the transform component. So I'm going to say transform dot, and there's a quantity called position and a quantity called x. So if my x position is, and is this going to be less than or greater than? I want you to think about that. If my x position is less than 6.5, which is this x limit, then I can move to the right. Okay, let's save this, go back to our code. Maybe I'll set the player to 0 again, and let's try moving to the right and make sure that our movement is limited. Okay, move to the right until the edge, and I can't go any further. Notice my x position is a little further than 6.5. That's okay, it just means I can't move more to the right. And I can go back. So I can skip over it a tiny bit, but I can't go too far to the right. Okay, your challenge for this video is to limit the player's movement both left and right, or both right and left, so that they don't fall off the track in either direction. And as an added challenge, see if you can use an AND statement to make this more compact, and see what you like, if you like the AND or if you like a nested if. All right, I will encourage you to pause the video and try the challenge. Okay, good job trying the challenge. Let's start by limiting the player's movement to the left. So I'm going to copy this if, and I'll add some space here. So if I press A or left arrow, let's check. Well, if your x position is, it's not going to be less than anymore. Now I'm checking if it's greater than. And this value will change as well. But if you just take a look at the numbers here, -4, that's actually a bigger number. If you think of a number line, that's further to the right than this -6.5 over here. And so this -4, if that's bigger, then I can keep moving left. Okay, so if that's bigger than the limit, I can keep moving left. And what is the limit? Well, the limit is -6.5. So I can actually just do x limit times -1, right? This is going to be -6.5, or just put a minus in front of the variable, and that'll do the same thing. So if, let's just test it to make sure it works. Now don't forget our curly brackets. So add the curly brackets here and put this transform translate inside the curly brackets, save it, and let's try it. Okay, so, well, I started on the edge by accident. That's okay. Go far to the right. Okay, I'm limited. Go far to the left again, and I'm still limited there. Awesome. So that worked perfectly. Excellent. Let's just demonstrate an AND statement. So here we have if I'm pressing A or pressing left arrow. Well, I can add another one. If I'm pressing A or pressing left arrow and my position is, valid, then translate some more. So to demonstrate that, I'm just going to make this if statement a comment. So Control/ doesn't work here. Sometimes it seems to work, but I'm going to do Control K, Control C. That's going to make these all have comments in front of them. So that's just a little shortcut, Control K, Control C. Okay, and I'm going to take this condition for position being greater than negative x limit, and let's say put some brackets around this or. Okay, so if this or evaluates to true and is the double ampersand, this condition is true. So we're having a little bit of a complicated line now, right? If this input is pressed and my position is valid to move further left, then I want to take away this comment, then I want to move further left. Okay, I won't do it for moving right, I'll just keep it for moving left, but let's save that and see if it works. Okay, so if I move to the left, sure enough, I'm still limited. Move all the way to the far right. Still limited. Try the arrow keys. Yep, they still work. So this change has effectively, allowed me to remove some lines of code. I put it all on one line. And my question for you, which doesn't have a right answer, is it better to put them all on one line, or is it better to have this nested if statement? And I'll leave it up to you to decide. But one key consideration here is how readable or how understandable our code is. And this is kind of confusing, right? Even if you are an experienced programmer, this just takes more time to figure out what it says. So I'm going to encourage you to, or at least for me, I'm going to remove this and I'm going to just put this back here. So to uncomment a block, you do Control K, Control U, right? So C is for comment, U is for uncomment. Control K, Control U will uncomment it. And now this is, and this should be left limit here, right? And so this is going to work just fine, and it's a bit more readable. Okay, that's it for this video. We have our player moving accurately now. In the next video, we're going to start seeing how we can actually make our game look a little nicer. So to actually have some models that we import for our player. Okay, I will see you in the next video.